Today we're talking with the new Dean and Director of Nebraska Extension. His name, Dr. Charlie Stoltenow. Goes by Dr. Charlie, though, and he joins us here on the Market Journal set. Dr. Charlie, thanks for being here today.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. This is great.
I want to use this time to really introduce our viewers to who you are and to help them get to know you. You come to us from North Dakota State University, but you spent time in Nebraska. Bring us up to speed on your background.
Oh my gosh, how much time do you have? Let's briefly, but I grew up on a small diversified farm in southeast North Dakota. Did everything, cultivating sugar beets, feeding cattle, the whole gamut. Did my undergrad at North Dakota State University in Animal Sciences, went to Iowa State University, got a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree, was in private practice for 4 years, primarily equine. That was right during the ag crisis of the 80s. That was a really interesting time. And then I got picked up by the USDA as a federal veterinarian, spent time in Indiana. But they had a special program, and the program was with the Centers for Disease Control, and they would train a veterinarian in human epidemiology. So I got selected for the program, went to CDC, and they said, oh, we have a place for you. We're going to send you to Lincoln, Nebraska. And so I spent 2 years here as the assistant state epidemiologist in the Department of Health for the state of Nebraska. Wonderful experience. Just fell in love with Lincoln, fell in love with the people of Nebraska. And then I moved on with my career and ultimately wound up at North Dakota State for 25 years, 17 years as the extension veterinarian, and then 8 years in administration.
So you're back in Lincoln, Nebraska now. You've been on the job, about a month and a half here in Lincoln?
I think about a month and a half, yes.
What was it about this opportunity that made you interested in coming back?
Oh, there's so many. First and foremost, the people of Nebraska. In my position up at North Dakota State, I worked with a lot of UNL, some of your best, and really got to know them well. I really appreciated them and always looked very, very highly at Nebraska Extension, right? I just really liked them. And then a few years ago, I was in more of a leadership position, and some of your educators who I worked with were like, Charlie, if ever opportunity came, would you consider coming down and working for UNL? And I said, oh, well, sure. Well, things turned out that it was the right opportunity, the right timing for in my personal life and my professional life that it opened up, and so here I am.
When you were first introduced as the priority candidate, you had the opportunity to really canvass the state from Lincoln to Scottsbluff and a lot of places in between. What did you learn about the state during that experience?
Oh my gosh, well, number one, Nebraska is a really big state. They said it was a 10-day tour. I just want to clarify, it was an 11-day tour because when your boss picks you up at the airport in Omaha, you're on. You're on. But it reconfirmed, though, a number of other things. Reconfirmed, number one, great people. Number two, a great state. Three, powerful agriculture. And number four, what an opportunity. Huge infrastructure, people who want to make a difference. But there were a lot of similarities when I compared Nebraska and North Dakota. Number one, your land grant institution is on the east side of the state, but yet agriculture goes all the way to the west border. You have issues of rainfall, you have issues of topography, you have issues of how all these different communities operate. You have a metro area, you have extremely rural areas, and everything in between. And so in some ways I felt a lot at home because there's a lot of similarities. And so I think I have a pretty good understanding, and so it feels comfortable to be here.
Mm-hmm. When you step into a role like this, do you pick up the reins on the work that's been done so far and continue the momentum, or do you come in this with a list of goals based on what you've learned about Nebraska Extension, or is it perhaps somewhere in between?
Well, that's a really good question, and what I've told people and what I told on the interview and the Odyssey, as we refer to those 11 days, I'm in a listening mode. I have a very favorable experience with Nebraska Extension. I'm very impressed. You always have some ideas what you think it is, but before you act on those or even verbalize them, you need to listen. You need to study. You need to really look into what's truly going on, to ground truth maybe some of the things you were thinking and realize that, oh, that's not quite the way it really is working, or there are new areas I hadn't even considered. So right now I'm in a listening phase, and looking for input from across the state, our usual stakeholders, but also the other new stakeholders or others that maybe have not necessarily voiced themselves, that, you know, this is what we see, this is what we need, this would be great if we could have this in Nebraska, and how do we move a great institution even farther to excellence?
I've heard university leaders describe Nebraska Extension as one of the best programs in the entire U.S. What do you see as the biggest strengths of Nebraska Extension as it stands today?
Well, number one of the biggest is the fact that you have an extension system that's county-based. You're right there. We may not have an office in each, but we have a presence in every one of the 93 counties across this great state. That's a strength, and that's something I'm terribly committed to. That needs to stay. Two is another strength is you have an incredible infrastructure. You have incredible specialists, faculty at UNL and across the state, committed. That's the other thing, the relationship that they have with the people of the state, they're committed. And three, you just have such a strong leadership development program, all the way from youth all the way up through adults. These are the really strong things. And fourth, incredible support from the people of Nebraska. They love Extension.
You mentioned right now you're in a listening phase, but are there certain areas you've already identified or in your head you've come to realize maybe some room for opportunity?
Boy, room for opportunity. That gets to be difficult, but there's always room for opportunity. Really, I'm looking at a part of it is the whole system of, it's so large, right? Let's back up. Nebraska, UNL. Let's just look at Extension. I was just asking them the question yesterday, how many employees do we either have directly or indirectly? And they said, it's probably over 450. You think about that. And so one of the things is, how do we communicate amongst these employees? And not top down, but how do we communicate throughout the system? Is there a potential that we can have what we call our campus-based or our EEC-based people even communicating more directly with our field force out there? So there's really good, timely communication of what the needs are, because it's not just about what we produce. We really need to listen to our public and say, what is the real need? And then in those communities that we're working in, I think there are needs that we have not yet even discovered that we can engage with the rest of the university. It's not just about Extension. Extension is that gateway, that bridge between the entire university and the entire state.
Final question for you. What's something our viewers need to know about Dr. Charlie, the new Dean and Director?
Dr. Charlie, the new Dean and Director. Number one, they should realize he is quite approachable. I grew up in a small town. I understand biological communities. They know me as Dr. Charlie. It's a moniker. My clients always viewed me as somebody they could talk to. And I'm really here to serve. It's not about me, it's about them. It's about who we serve across this state. And so they want to talk, hey, just come up and say, hey, I'm whoever, Dr. Charlie, just want to reach out to you. That's what I look forward to in this job.
The new Dean and Director of Nebraska Extension, Dr. Charlie Stoltenow, joining us. Dr. Charlie, appreciate your time today.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much.